Hi and welcome. I'm Iris Benrubi on the Ready for Love series, and today I'm really excited to have Kristen Darcy. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be with you today.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you on because we're going to talk about blissfully healed and healthy living after divorce. Now, we talked for a minute before we got on. We've both been through divorce, so we know what it takes. In your experience working with women, what is the biggest hurdle women run into emotionally when dealing with this?
I think for a lot of us women, I can speak personally and professionally, it's almost a sense of being blindsided sometimes that this is where their life has brought them, and feeling like this is not how my plan was supposed to be, kind of out of control and overwhelmed by first the breakdown of, the most important relationship in your being, your marital relationship, but also the breakdown, how that has a ripple into, I'm sure you experience this, into friends and family, and then to be thrust into the court system, which is like a whole different world, like a whole different territory. Like, we weren't brought up to, discuss that, like, how is that world? And then to enter that. So it's, for me, I feel like it's the trauma of the divorce and then the re-traumatization through the process of it sometimes.
Yeah, and I know that for me, once we separated homes, it was like, who am I? I'm not a wife anymore. I'm only
Right.
my mom. I really had to, I guess, renegotiate my identity.
Right. And that affects every part of you, mind, body, soul, physical body, like who you are, how do you fit in? How do you move on from this? How do you establish, grieving the old, but while having 2 feet in a different world, the old world and the new world? How do you grieve what was the past, but really focus on the future? And I think that's, getting back to your question, I think that's what is the part that gets sticky, that you're in between these two worlds, right? Grieving and honoring and blessing the past, but moving to this, bright, blissful future. How do you do that?
Yeah, and sometimes, I'm going to say probably fairly often, it's hard to know that there's a bright future at the end of this.
It is. And a lot of, for me personally, and for a lot of the women that I have the privilege of helping through this time, we forget that, feelings change. We are not our feelings. Like, and I really spend a lot of time like looking at the 4 core wounds. Was it triggering abandonment? Was it triggering loss? Was it triggering, maybe you had codependent in your past? Is there abuse? So it's those feelings that need to come up to be healed in the light. And I try to help my clients navigate through those feelings, acknowledging them, being with them, being okay with being so uncomfortable, and riding the waves of, empowerment, and then feeling, isolated and alone. Because there's a lot of waves that come. And what do you do with those? And what I hope for at the end of it is that you look back at this as, gosh, I learned so much about myself. I learned, who I am and what's important to me, and how I can take all that wonderful lessons and move forward. But I think it's, I'm sure you experienced it too, like out of the blue, you'd be hit with some sorrow. And you'd be like, where did that come from? I was perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden there was some trigger, and it's just sorrowful or sadness or grief or remorse or whatever feeling it is.
And what about for the woman who's listening to this and says, I don't want to feel all that. I just want to move through and get to the other side.
Well, what's so great about us women, and men too, but about us women, is the resilience. And so you don't have to take a deep dive into those feelings. I always joke with my clients, because I'm a mom, and that Shrek movie, when Shrek burps, it's better out than in. So it doesn't matter, if it comes up, and if you have these 2 questions, these are such the powerful questions, and we'll talk about that. That's part of my free gift that I'm giving. What do I feel at this moment? And what do I need at this moment? Because by asking those two powerful questions of yourself, you're changing your physiology in an instant. If I feel betrayed, what do I need right now? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to write about this? So it's just getting grounded in yourself and you using your divine wisdom, your intuition, to see what's the best healing path for you. So,
yeah, and so, for women that are looking at grieving, at learning to connect to their body, to their emotions, what do I need right now? What do you see as a long-term benefit to that?
well, I think creating a system, a daily system of self-nurturing, self-care, intention, and gratitude. Like those four components, those are so powerful that if you're looking at a moment in your life that is in crisis, you reminding yourself there's a beginning, middle, and end. And then to navigate that by each day, every morning when I wake up and I put my feet on the floor, I just say thank you. Hold in reverence what is coming for the day. And then I set my intention. So I'm a girl like quick and easy. We're not having to dive deep into, making it a big ritual of, you can do that. There's no judgment if you want to do that, but it's quick and easy, good morning, thank you. And then setting your intention. I'm going to move through today with grace and ease. And what that is like you're projecting that into the universe. Today is going to be full of grace and ease, and everything that's going to come to you is going to be in that level of energy. And then to hold gratitude, at the beginning, I would write down 10 things I was extremely grateful for. And sometimes I could only come up with 2. And then that would become my mantra if I couldn't sleep, for remuneration of, awfulizing.
Yeah, can I just jump in there a second?
Sure, sorry.
No, not at all. What I think you said just now is so important for women to get. There are moments that we can't even find 10 things we're grateful for, and you've made it normal.
Yes, because what we end up doing is like beating ourselves up, and it's just divine radical acceptance is needed when you're within this trauma. Good, bad, and ugly. There was some days that I look back at myself and I said, hey, you did it. You got through today. Was it pretty in your eyes? Maybe not, but you did it. You did it, sister. So I think it's just validating and accepting where you are without judgment.
Yeah, validating where you are without judgment. Like, I shouldn't be here. I didn't plan on be here. This isn't how things were supposed to work out. I was so good. I was, and maybe getting to that victim place, because I know there were moments where I felt the victim. I didn't think that I had done anything to consciously create this. And so this was happening to me, but there was no power for me there.
No. And how do you feel victorious? How do you set yourself up to be victorious? And that's a different way, a mindset for women, to think, how am I going to be victorious? I have this crown and I'm going to make sure that it stays up there all good while I support everybody else's crown, right? So how do you be victorious in this really horrific situation? Yeah, so and not only that, if you have children, if you're a mom going through this, that's a whole other layer of pressure and responsibility. And so going back to that, how do you integrate self-care and self-nurturing and self-love for you first? How do you put your oxygen mask on?
So let's talk about that. How do women come out victorious in this sometimes very difficult, both emotionally, financially, physically, depending on where you're living, if you've been through abuse? There's so many factors that can make it such a chaotic and difficult time. How do they come out victorious?
Well, the part for me that I would get stuck in all the time, and then learn to say to myself, I'm connected to my divine source. Because there's so much fear that is brought up through the process of a divorce. There's so much animosity. I've heard wonderful, wonderful stories of women who, have this mutual understanding and respect through a divorce, consciously divorcing. But the people I work with are usually the people who are in high conflict divorces, understanding maybe some pathology that they never really understood why they were married, understanding that, yeah, this was abuse, this was neglect, this was, betrayal that was happening. So I think relying on your inner wisdom, remembering who you are, and remembering you are so powerful when you access those feelings of your blissful future. Take a moment and run that mental movie of how you want to be. I was just talking to my son. My son is a senior in college and my daughter is a senior in high school. And he asked me, Mom, you're on the cusp again of a big change, being a single mom, at this part that my daughter's going to go to college. I'll be an empty nester. And I said to him, this strange mental movie I see all the time in myself that, I have a pair of shorts on and I have a teal bike with this basket and I'm riding my bike to go get groceries. I go, I don't know where it came from, but when I access that mental movie, man, I feel great. I feel like this future, wherever I'm going on this bike, it could be metaphorical or it could be real, that I access that feeling of contentment, of peace and happiness. So I wish I knew that then. I wish I knew that when I was going through trial and I was getting subpoenaed and all those ugly, heavy kind of energies. I wish I knew how to, in that moment, take a deep breath and access, this is a selfie of my life. This isn't my life right now.
Oh, I like that. This is a selfie. It's a moment in time. It's not your future.
Yeah.
So I know that when you start working with women, you have them do a dream list. Can you talk about what that is and why that's important?
Well, I love that you asked that because it's perfect about what I just said, like envisioning your future, envisioning what you want. And I think with a divorce or a high conflict divorce, everything gets stuck or isolated or abruptly blown up, if you want to say, so that you're kind of like on unstable ground. So you lose those dreams, right? You lose the connection to your past dreams that you created and manifest. So a dreams list is really just sitting for a moment and saying, if I was like princess of everything, this is what my life would be. And this is all the things I would do. And just write them down. I'll show you an example. When I was trying to create my family, after, I was a preschool teacher, I had 51 kids a day, and I started having infertility issues. And I got into that awfulizing, it's never going to happen to me. And what's going to happen, really future negative thinking. And I did my dreams list, and it was crazy. I wrote down, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to be on the Today Show, and I'm going to be a mom. And, and all my family kind of tiptoed around me and said, what are you talking about? You're not going to be on, how can you do this? I did it. And when I was going through my divorce, I forgot that powerful part of myself, that dreaming to ignite this, path and going forward. So I did it again. Me on my bike, I don't know where that's going to be or what I'm going to be doing, but that's the dream I hold. And so it ended up, I got on the Today Show, not the way I had, envisioned, but I just wrote it down, be an author, award-winning author, be on the Today Show to talk about women's emotional health and infertility, and, be a mom. And all those things happened. And at the time, I was this broken woman that really didn't know how to get dressed in the morning. So dreaming, even if you have to fake it till you make it, write it down. I'm going to live in whatever kind of house. I'm going to take this lesson. I'm going to get a degree. Whatever it is, as crazy as it might feel, write that baby down, pick top 3, and write those down so that they're someplace that you recognize and see.
What I loved, a couple things. What I love about what you said was that selfie, a moment in time, and the dream list is about taking them into the future. This is what you're living into. And I saw you on that teal bike with a basket and a crown on your head. I love that.
I love you, Iris. I didn't think of a crown. Now I'm going to envision the crown.
And I would love to touch base on that image behind you on the screen. Could you talk to
So
that?
this is beautiful, Kuan Yin. She reigns over my office, and she's the goddess of compassion and divine love. And I hope that I'm a midwife for that, to remind all, the listeners and the wonderful women that I have the privilege of working with, that there's a divine wisdom to us. And all that external chatter, loudness, ugliness, or whatever you want to call it, that cannot dim that, and that cannot turn it down if you take that moment every day just to turn in and just ask, my divine knowing, bring me where I need to go today. Help me get XYZ done today.
Really connecting to your intuition and your inner wisdom through this chaotic time.
Right.
All right. So I know you put together a special gift for our viewers. Could you speak to that?
I love it. I'm not the most best journalist, but I love when I have prompt questions. And that's what this gift is. It's really 6 really powerful questions, kind of like what we just talked about, doing a dreams list. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? And a lot of us feel stuck when we're like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. And then we think that's a negative stance. But actually, knowing what you don't want to do is really powerful to figure out what you will do or don't want, what you want to do. So the 6 powerful questions, it'll probably take you 20 minutes, if that, to fill out. But it helps you get that flame going, get your direction going. So there's a little bit of video, and then also a download that you can use for prompting for your journal.
Beautiful. And right below this video where you've clicked, there's a link. So make sure you take advantage of Kristen's free offer. And with that, Kristen, I want to say thank you for the time that you've given us today, for all the wisdom that you've shared, and for the difference you make in the world.
Oh, thank you. I so appreciate our time together too. And I just honor everything that you do, and I know it'll help so many. Thank you so much.
Thank you.